Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing really well today. I've got another video for you guys. We're going to be looking at the regional that's happening in North America starting tomorrow at the time of posting this. We're going to be looking at all the matchups, all the different teams, their strengths, maybe some of their weaknesses in each matchup, and going through what I think will happen overall in the results for this first regional. Now, we're going to waste no time at all. We're going to talk about the format really quickly. It's two groups, top 8. If you go through, this is a double elimination bracket, I should say. If you go through the top half of the double elimination bracket here, you go into the top 6 at least. If you go through the lower half, you go into the top 8 down here in the playoffs that we can see here, which is combining both of these groups that we'll go on to in a second. Group A, Group B, we're going to be starting off with Group A. Gen G versus NRG for the first matchup. Now, these guys, I think this is a very unfortunate pairing in this first kind of round here. This is happened because Gen G had a very good qualifier or first part of the qualifier last weekend. NRG had a really, really poor qualifier, only making it to the main event in their last round, round 5. So really, really poor by their standards. Do I think that's going to affect them in this main event? Really not much at the very most. Basically, I think they might affect them slightly. I still think they're going to be a top 2 side. Spoilers for later on in the prediction. We'll see though. Maybe they play a tough opponent in the semis and I have them lose them. It'll be tough to see though. NRG Gen G, I have NRG beating these guys 3-2. 3-2 because I know that Gen G have a really good matchup against these guys in their eyes. They're very confident against them. Scrims wise, I know that they're confident against them. Tournament wise, I know that they can play well against them in tournament. Both teams, I think, know that. I think I heard Beast Mode say that Gen G, they struggle against them in scrims. Rettles, I know for sure he's told me that. So these guys, this could be a close series. I still have NRG beating them in a high pressure situation in a game 5 when you need to hold your nerve. I think that NRG will be the better team by far to do that. Strictly Business versus Space Station. Strictly Business, if you guys are not aware, is a full European team. Crispy, Ixo, and Simas. Simas, for me, is the main kind of, star on the team, if you will, if you want to call it that. Ixo, I think, can put in some really, really solid performances and will be the difference maker for this team in terms of just having a solid play style and playing well when he needs to, basically. And I think this team could do a little bit better than I had them when I did the ranking video. I don't believe I had these guys in the top 10. I had them, I think, near 11th, sneaking into that top 10, but I didn't have them there. And they played really, really well in that first qualifier. They swept Space Station, which is massive, and they beat NRG 3-1. The NRG wins for teams like Strictly Business and Deleted. I'm actually not even caring about them because NRG just looked so much worse than they usually do on that day. But I really like the Strictly Business win over Space Station, and because of that, I have them winning again 3-2. Space Station, this is gonna suck for them because this is a really, really rough round. Losers round 1. If you lose this round, you go out 16th in the regional. That's not good. Okay, so this is really rough to have 2 top 6 teams going into the regional in this ranking. But it's just because of certain matchups. Like I think these guys have swept them previously. I think they're going to have that confidence and still beat them. And a team like Space Station is going to have a very low floor. We know that. They do have a very high ceiling. But in a round 1 of a regional, I think you're more often than not going to see that floor rather than the ceiling. In terms of, which team's floor I'd rather have, I'm taking Strictly Business right now. So yeah, 3-2. And NRG Gen G, the reason this is a lower round 1 is because these guys, or NRG, just messed up the entire seeding going into this Group A. So a little unfortunate, extremely good for teams such as 9 Lives and maybe Shopify. You kind of teams that could be breaking into that top 5, top 6, top 4 spot. If you're seeing that, in their eyes, that's really good to have these guys in lower round 1. Omelette versus Gas. Omelette is Lion Blaze, Percy, Zanil. Super defensive team. Very, very high floor. Not a crazy peak, but they can get really good upsets if the team that they're playing against, if the team is better than Omelette, they can still win if that team isn't playing up to their level, basically. We saw that very, very close to seeing that last season in a quarterfinal against NRG. Took them to game 7 overtime, I believe. And it was extremely close. Omelette can do stuff like that. They can play really well when they need to. Very high floor. I have them winning this 3-0. Gas is Garrett, G, AJ, and Squishy. This team on paper is still pretty good, honestly. They can push into that kind of top 10 range in North America. On paper, I genuinely believe that. I think that Garrett G can still play really well. I think that Squishy is a super solid player still, and AJ is still have really good mechanics and can play extremely well. It's just a content team though. They're not going to care. They're not going to. I don't believe they're going to scrim. If they did, maybe I have a couple of results going their way. Because of that, I don't believe so. You can spin it and say that they have no pressure and things like that. I don't think it means an awful lot when they're playing a really solid team that doesn't change their style up too much like Omelette. Next round is Team Deleted versus Worstel Stand. Team Deleted is Andy, Gyro, and Wavy. Wavy is the main player that everyone's going to be looking at from last season. He can do some really good stuff on the field, so definitely looking at him. And I have heard that these guys look pretty good from what I know. They looked pretty solid in the qualifier last weekend, where their main couple of results were beating NRG 3-2 and losing to Gen G 3-0. And they had a couple of decent other results against other teams that made it to the regional. So, these guys look pretty good. Worstel Stand, I'm a big fan of, though. This team is Jazzy, Zai, and Harzo. Harzo is the only North American player actually on this team. Jazzy, I'm not sure how to say his name, but Jazzy is, let's have a look, because I think he's German or Austrian. He's German, okay, and Zai is definitely Austrian, I believe. So a couple of, players, these guys have teamed before, and I really like Zai on this team. Zai has impressed me a lot in rank 2s over the last kind of year and a half playing in Europe, and he scores really nice goals. He has some really clean mechanics, in my opinion. I think he's a great player. He's the main guy I'm looking at on this team. Harzo is kind of coming up in the scene over the last year and a half again. And he can do some good stuff as well. I am going to give it to Deleted though, but I do think these teams can be really close, and I think this Worstel Stand team, I like them. We'll see what matchups they get in the future. Team Deleted are going to be way more kind of team oriented, playing more as a team. I believe so. I haven't really watched all too much. I watched a little bit of their stuff, but I think Worstel Stand is going to be very solo play heavy. And that's kind of the matchup we'll see here. I still think both of these teams are going to be aggressive, though. I think that Deleted, even though they don't have the craziest mechanics on their team, for example, I still think they're going to be a very aggressive team. But we'll see if I'm wrong about that. I'm intrigued about this team. I want to see how they can do, because I think that it really could go completely either way with these guys. I don't think they're ever making a major, but I think they can push into the top kind of 7 to 6 if they play super well. You can say that about a ton of teams. Anyway, let's go on to the next round. This is the upper semifinals. This is a round for top 6, at least in the regional. A massively important round for a lot of these teams, especially these guys here, which both of them, you're going to be really happy with a top 6 performance here. So really cool round to see there. NRG versus Strictly Business. Strictly Business did beat these guys 3-1 in the previous qualifier, in the last weekend, sorry. Don't think it's going to happen again. I think I'm having it 3-0 for NRG. Strictly Business, they're just going to be outskilled. If NRG do play up to their level, I do see them cruising through a couple of these rounds after Gen G at least. Okay, Omelette versus Deleted. Omelette, we know they're going to play solid. Can Deleted play up to that level? It would be an upset if Deleted win this in my eyes. I think in a round like this, where both teams really know it's an important round, an important win to get to really kind of, boost your start to the season compared to what you'd be expecting if you're on these rosters, I think that Omelette is going to have it. I don't think it's going to be insanely close. I think I'll give it a 3-1. Deleted, Omelette have been in top 6, top 4 situations, I think, all three of these players. These guys are going to have a little bit more experience in that regard. Deleted, they can do it. This is a really close matchup. I just think that in this exact round, I think I'm favoring the team that's probably just going to be more solid round to round. I have heard that Deleted look good, though, so I could be wrong on that. We'll see. NRG Omelette, it's a 3-0 for NRG. Okay. We have our lower rounds here to look at. Let me scroll down so you guys can see this. There we go. By the way, sorry, shout out to Cody V for creating this spreadsheet. Massive shout out to him. I'll leave a link to his Twitter in the description. So thank you, Cody. Really, really good stuff here. Okay, Gen G versus Space Station. This is unfortunate. This is really, really unfortunate to have these guys going against each other in round 1. Loser gets top 16 in the regional, which isn't good for either of these teams. Both of them ranked at least top 6 in the region. I have Gen G winning 3-2. So unfortunately, Space Station go in top 16 in this prediction. They're not a 16th side. I still have them, 6th, for example, in the region. If this happens, do I think they then bounce back and get a 6th overall in the split still? No. I think that this result would massively affect them. First regional, young team, first regional of the season. Yeah, I hope hopefully it doesn't happen, but one of these teams, at least in this prediction, it has to go bad for them. So yeah, we'll see. Gas versus Warsaw Stand. I do have Warsaw Stand beating them. I'm going to give Gas a game. Yeah, I just don't think this team is going to do all too much just because they're a competent team, I'd be very surprised if they do more than this. Deleted versus Gen G. This could be pretty close. Delete versus Gen G. Gen G. I think that Gen G are going to be feeling pretty good off of a win against Space Station, at least. They're definitely the better team. They looked really, really good in the last qualifier. Speaking to Rettles over the past few days, is the most confident and genuinely confident that I've heard him be in a long, long time. He's always confident, but every player is, at least publicly. I felt like he genuinely believed they played really, really well. And they did, rightly so. So I think these guys are going to feel pretty good. I have them beating them 3-1. Deleted, they do go out top 12 in this prediction. This is a pretty tough round to come up against for a top 8 against Gen G, but maybe it's not crazy. I think that the NRG getting such a bad seeding going into this has massively screwed up a lot of this bracket for a lot of teams, which teams such as 9 Lives, Rebellion, Tech, those teams that are on the cusp of top 8 to top 6 kind of range, top 4, sorry, top 8 to top 4, those kind of teams, they're going to be very, very happy about seeing some of these rounds like Gen G Space Station. We'll see. Yeah, we'll see if anything changes with that. Strictly Business versus Warsaw Stand. This is a European matchup apart from Harzo in this matchup. Strictly Business. Yeah, I'm gonna give it to them. I am giving it in 5. I really, really do like this Warsaw Stand team. Sorry. We'll see if they live up to kind of my expectations a bit. I really think they can start off solid. A top 12 is a solid performance for this team. I think they can build on that, and I think they're not going to be disappointed. Strictly Business, I do think they're getting a top 8 here. Gen G versus Strictly Business. These guys looked really, really comfortable against them in the previous weekend. Gen G, they sound really comfortable against this team in particular from what I know. I think they'll be fine in this matchup. It's a 3-0. These matchups here in these rounds don't matter all too much. It just matters for seeding, as you can see here. But when you're playing regionals, when you're playing teams, especially when you're in the uppers, it doesn't matter all too much who you're playing against in terms of seeding. All these teams are going to be completely fine and happy with their result, I'd say, going into this playoffs bracket. All right, we flipped the camera over to the other side so we can see this Group B. We've got first round, Ultimates versus Tech. Ultimates, LJ, Chronic, first killer. These guys are going to be really, really, really good. They looked good in the first qualifier, pretty smooth for them. Tech is Com, Talk, and Evo. These guys can play at a super high level. I do have my kind of certain doubts about this team mentality-wise, sorry. I think it could be an issue. When they peak, though, I think we're going to see a really, really solid side. Do they get to that level, though? Not in this matchup, I don't believe. I think it's a 3-0 for Ultimates. These guys are going to look really, really good in this first region, I believe. Rebellion versus Pirates. Rebellion is just in path and 2-piece. Pirates is 5-up, Creams and Hockey. So Creams and Hockey previously teamed with Wavy last season, and they've remained as a duo and brought in 5-up. 5-up is a really solid player. I think he has a good amount of potential and can play at a high level. Not too high on this team, though. Rebellion, I think, will be fine in this matchup. I think they'll just outpace them. all over the pitch. I don't see Pirates being able to kind of keep up with that pace from Rebellion. And yeah, 3-0 here. But Rebellion, they can really look shaky at times. I'm not too high on that team, as a lot of people know from my rankings video, but this is just a mismatch. I think Rebellion played well against Ultimates, by the way, in the last qualifier, so we'll get to that one in a second. We'll talk about that. Complexity versus Almost Nuts. This is a 3-0 for Complexity. Almost Nuts is Repeat, T-Corel, and Skippy. I actually wasn't sure who this team was when looking at this, but yeah, Complexity, again, it's similar to this matchup. They're gonna outpace them. They're gonna outskill them, I believe. And T-Corel, Repeat, Skippy. Skippy's the main guy to look at on this team. Skippy, I think, is he has a decent amount of potential. I think he could be a good player. Right now, maybe a little like raw in terms of what he's doing in threes, but still very good. T-Corel and Repeat. I just don't think this team will put up too much of a fight against Complexity, who I do think will come out pretty strong. This team's pretty good at doing well when they need to nowadays. When they first came to North America, obviously they went back to South America last season, but when they first came to North America, they struggled with kind of composure and stuff. They got very good at it. I think Raiseball does a lot for that team. CR is their best player by a long margin, and at least in threes. I think I've heard that Diaz is still a little rough around the edges, but we'll see if in tournament he can just kind of break out. I do think that maybe he'll probably be their worst to start off, but I really like this team. I think they're going to be super, super solid. Okay, 9 Lives versus Team Evo. 9 Lives is Chicago, Hoxer, and Kofa. So former Space Station team, but with Kofa instead of LJ. And Team Evo is Speed, Relate, Wave, and Arju. I forgot about those guys. Another European team here. So we've got 3 European teams making the top 16 in North America. Speed, Wave, and Arju. Defensive, very defensive team. Well, Speed is very aggressive, I think, as a player, but and Arju can be. Wave's solid. Wave's too solid. This could be close, especially in the first series. I'm giving it a 3-2. I wouldn't be surprised if we see an upset here. I'm very high on this 9 Lives team though, but we could see an upset here. I don't think we will, but it could be close. I don't mind this team. I don't think they'll do crazy amounts of stuff, but if there's a series that can kind of push them out the gates, it's definitely. I know it's easy to say it's the first series of the regional, but it would be this win here against a team like 9 Lives. So we'll see about that matchup. That could be interesting. Okay, Ultimates versus Rebellion, sorry. They went to Game 5, I believe, in the previous weekend. Yeah, they went to Game 5, and it obviously very close. Any game that goes to 5 has to be close. I didn't actually see this one, but if we're looking at the game scores, Ultimates almost got reverse swept. Looking at the game scores, it went 2-0 and then 2-2 and then a 6-4 last game. A 6-4 last game is a very, very nervy last game, I'll tell you that much, because any game where it's a crazy amount of goals, unless Ultimates went up like 6-1 and then conceded 3 at the end, I'm not sure, I didn't watch it, but that could be a close matchup. I do think Ultimates will win it, but I will give it in 5 again, just based off that last one. Maybe we'll see. Yeah, I'll give it in 5. Complexity 9 Lives. I do have Complexity winning. I don't think it's all too close. 3-1. I'll give them a game. I don't think it's all too close. Tech versus Pirates. This is pretty simple for me. I'm really not high on this Pirates team right now. Looking at the roster at least going into it, and I think they'll just get outskilled by Tech, who has some really mechanical players on their team in Evo at least, and I think he'll do very well against a team like this. Team Evo versus Almost Nuts. This is a 3. I'm gonna give it a 3-0 for Team Evo. I think that. Yeah, I just don't think this Almost Nuts team, T-Corel, Repeat, Skippy, I don't think they'll do all too much against maybe more skilled teams, maybe more composed teams in experienced players like Evo are right now. Speed, Wave, Arju, they've all been there a million times. So 9 Lives versus Tech, really, really important round. Wow. Okay, these guys are very, very, they could be very similar, at least in results. I like this 9 Lives team a bit more. I'm giving it 3-1. I really do like this 9 Lives team. Tech, if they had one of these rounds, matchups here, I could give them that. But yeah, I think we'll see a 3-1 there for 9 lives. Tech go out top 12. Rebellion versus Evo. I do have Rebellion getting top 8 here. I think that they will win this. You know what? Yeah, I'll give it 5. I'm interested in a lot of these matchups, but I'm interested to see that if that happens. I'm really intrigued to see if Rebellion prove me wrong. I really genuinely hope they do, because I really like this team. Like I said in my rankings video, I'm not high on them, but I really hope they prove me wrong. I have them losing this 1-3-1, and I have Ultimates beating Complexity here. I'll give them 5. I think these guys could be pretty close in the first regional. 3-2. These guys go through to the top 6. These guys go through to the top 8. Let's have a look at the playoffs bracket. Okay, I've moved again up to the top right of the screen. We've got the playoffs here. NRG versus Complexity, Ultimates versus Omelette in the upper quarterfinals. And then the lower round ones, we've got Genji Rebellion and 9 Lives Strictly Business. Wow, that's a top 6 match. That's cool. Okay, NRG Complexity, we're starting off with this. This is best of 7 now. I think the NRG will look fine. I don't think that they're going to struggle all too much with a team like Complexity. I think that a team like Complexity are going to be very, very fast-paced, very mechanical. I think that NRG are going to enjoy playing a team like that. I think that NRG do struggle a little bit more with more structured teams, rather than kind of these just fast-paced mechanical teams. I think they'll be fine against a team like Complexity. Ultimates versus Omelette, that's a 4-0. Ultimates are going to smash those guys. I think so. So Omelette, yeah, they can play really well, but Ultimates, I think they'll get to a stage like this in the tournament and they'll be pretty happy with a couple of their wins against, a team like Complexity, a team like Shopify, and I think that they'll really feel comfortable in kind of their level at this stage and just be pretty comfortable against a team like Omelette, who usually just sit back and wait for them to make mistakes, basically. I don't think they will. I think they'll be fine. Genji Rebellion. Genji Rebellion, best of 7. I do have... Yeah, okay. This could be... I have Genji winning. That goes... I think that can go to 7. I think that could be close. I don't think that... Yeah, I think that can be close. I think these guys can play these guys well. Rebellion, I don't know what them. I'm trying to think if they previously played one another. I'm really not too sure. So I might be completely wrong about that one. I'm really not sure about that one, whether it's close or not. I have Genji winning either way. But yeah, I'll give that a game 7. 9 Lives of Strict Miss. I really like this matchup for top 6. This is super interesting. That's a top 4. This is a top 4. Omelette. Wow. Okay, this is going to be a top 4 matchup. One of these 3 teams. That's really good stuff. Okay, 9 Lives versus Strictly Business. Strictly Business versus 9 Lives. I do have 9 Lives winning. I'm going to give it a 4-2. Strictly Business, I think, yeah, a top 8. Yeah, no, I don't have them beating them. 9 Lives, I like 9 Lives. Yeah, 4-2. I'm sticking with that. That could be close, but a lot of close matchups there. I don't think this regional could be really competitive. There's a lot of close teams. In Europe, I don't think there are like as many, but in NA there's a ton of close teams. This is super. Looking at some of these matchups, it's very, I'm not too sure in some of them. Complexity versus Genji. I do think that Complexity will be extremely comfortable in this matchup. I'm actually going to give it a sweep. I could be absolutely chatting out my, or I could be just lying here. I think that Genji could be really uncomfortable against a team like Complexity. I think that they might even be like uncomfortable kind of going into that series, thinking about that team. I know they think they're good. So yeah, I think it could be a sweep, which I'm hoping it's not. I want to back my Genji boys. I'm giving it a sweep though. Omelette versus 9 Lives. I have 9 Lives winning. I think Omelette, I just don't think they have it when it comes down to if both teams are playing well, which you get to these stages, I think these teams are going to be happy with top sixes and stuff like that. You start to play better when you're kind of happy with your performance and your level you're showing in previous matchups. I think that 9 lives would be fine, having a little bit of momentum going into the series. Yeah, I'll give that a 4-2. NRG 9 lives, I'm giving it a 4. I think NRG are super comfortable and such a shock. We're going to have probably an NRG Ultimates grand final here. Do Complexity beat them? I know a couple people think that they could. I don't think so. I don't think we'll see Complexity reach their, absolute peak level straight away into this regional. So I'm going to give it a 4-1 in this matchup to Ultimates. These are the top 2 teams going into this tournament. We all know that on paper. These are the top 2 guys by a pretty decent margin. And then Complexity probably standing in their own spot 3rd. I want to say going into this regional. Ultimates NRG. I want to back my boys. I really like these guys. Love them. And I hope they can win. Don't think they will. I really don't have NRG struggling in this regional. Looking at I'm giving them a game, an extra game, 4-2. I think 4. That's a disrespectful. That's disrespectful. That's not even disrespectful. It's too optimistic in NRG. Yeah, 4-2. We'll stick with the 4-2. I don't think Ultimates will win against NRG. I think NRG will be fine, pretty comfortable in the regional overall. Which I didn't, as we got onto it, I got more confident with NRG's just kind of level. We'll see if they show that. We'll see if they show that again. This is going to look awful on the video, but I'm just looking through through it myself. You're not going to be able to see all the matchups that I'm looking at, but NRG 3-2, 3-0, 3-0, 4-1, 4-1, 4-2. 4-1, 4-0, 4-2. Yeah, they look pretty comfortable from the prediction. We'll see if it actually happens, but that's what I have, boys. We have NRG winning the regional, 1st place. Ultimate 2nd, 3rd and 4th, Complexity and 9 lives. So those are the 4 major teams we have from this regional. If everything ended here, those would be the 4 teams going to the major. On the cusp, a Genji Omelette, Rebellion, Strictly Business next up, and then Tech deleted. Will stand Team Evo looking a little bit, they won't be too happy with the 1st regional. I think the main thing is Space Station. In this prediction, they go out 16th. The bracket is really horrible. We'll see if this actually happens. One of these 4 teams is going out 16th. That's the issue. One of Strictly Business, Space Station, NRG, and Genji are going out 16th. On paper, you're looking at it being Strictly Business for most people, if you were to predict that. For me, I just think this 1st round is gonna shock them. But we'll see if I'm wrong. Guys, let me know what you think of my predictions in the comments down below. Really interested to hear your predictions. List your top 16 teams ranking for this regional, who you think is going to win and stuff like that. And we'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.